Hi guys, Andrew Davidson here, and welcome back to another As Per My Ability video. When I was an undergrad student, I took a course called Fantasy and Science Fiction. In that course, we were required to read this giant book called Dune by Frank Herbert. I had not really heard much of Dune. I had seen the 80s version of the movie version when I was much younger. I thought it was rubbish. I didn't understand any of it. I thought it was terrible. I read the book and really enjoyed it. In fact, I read the book so many times that I wrote my thesis paper in that course on Dune, even though I could have chosen a bunch of other science fiction novels. Now, right now, at the time of filming this, Dune is incredibly popular in the board game world and in Hollywood. With the new movie that just came out at the time of recording this, is just coming out. Everything has been Dune in 2021, and I have been eating up every single bit of it. I really enjoy the resurgence of just the regular game Dune by Gale Force 9, which is kind of like a Risk game, combat fighting game in the Dune universe. There's also probably one of my favorite games that I played this year called Dune Imperium, which blends an idea of deck building and worker placement in the Dune world. Absolutely brilliant design. Dune Imperium could possibly go down, maybe not on the top 10, but probably within my top 50 games of all time that I've ever played. I enjoy Dune Imperium a lot. So today's video is going to be about another Dune game by a different designer, a different company, and a different publishing company, and it's called Dune House Secrets. Dune House Secrets is by Ignacy Cevicek and published by Portal Games. It basically works off of the detective framework, but Dune House Secrets takes place in the Dune universe. And so we're going to see how it plays, we're going to see how it looks, and I'm going to give you some pretty strong feelings of how I feel about Dune House Secrets once we get back from the sweet intro. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, today's video is on Dune House Secrets. I can't quite get it all into the shot. Dune House Secrets, again, by Ignacy and published by Portal Games. Now, I have talked a lot about the detective series. Truth be told, I have not played every single thing in the detective series, although I do own them and they are kind of sitting on a shelf of shame somewhere. What I have played of the detective series has been very immersive and very cool. It's just way up there with crime games. If you want to solve a crime, if you want to look through police reports and put together alibis and whodunit type of things, you even go to the internet and you look up stuff on the internet to help kind of flesh out the storyline. There's usually a campaign. Vienna Connection has a campaign. The regular detective, like the base board game, also has a campaign, meaning that your games kind of carry over from one to another. Now, Portal Games has taken that system and they've placed it in the Dune world, which I was super excited about. This copy I have, I actually pre-ordered it months and months before it came out. It finally came in the mail, and I got a chance to play a little bit of Dune, at least enough for me to know, okay, I know how this game is. I know the feeling that it is. I know how other people are going to want to buy Dune House Secrets because they think that it is a Dune game, when in reality it's not. So why don't I show you what's in the box and a little bit about how the game works, although I'm not going to go over the rules, because essentially you can watch any tutorial on how to play detective and you would have the framework for how to play Dune House Secrets. Okay, so welcome to Dune House Secrets. I'm going to be opening up the box and showing off some of the components. Don't worry, this is a completely spoiler-free. I will not be spoiling anything for anyone, so you don't have to worry about that. Here's the cover, which we will just kind of set aside. When you open up the box, you're going to get your rule book, of course, which is pretty short, and a thing on the back to fill out your progress. You will be working through, I guess, a prologue, a chapter 1, a chapter 2, and a chapter 3. So essentially there are 4 scenarios, or at least 3 full scenarios and 1 super short tutorial scenario. So there's the rule book. Next is your sticker sheet. As you can see, some of them have already been used. I've used some of them that you can stick onto your characters to level up. I'm not going to go too much into detail on this because it is kind of a spoiler, but you do get to level up your characters at the end of every chapter. Here are the boards where you'll be using, depending on which scenario you're playing, you'll be using the consequence track and the time track. The tokens are kind of buried in here, but you'll be putting tokens out here and they will be moving up or down. The time track typically just moves down until you get to the end, and at that point your game is over, in which you then need to log on to a website and interact with a database and see how you did. There is one thing you need to understand for those of you that have not played any detective games, is that there is no win or lose. There's no pass fail at this game. It's all a gray area of how well you did. So you could do pretty good, medium well, or super good, just depending on, once you get to the end, it'll ask you some questions about what did you learn. If you learned the right stuff and got it right, you're going to do better, and your game will change based on what you learned, what you know, and what you don't know. So this is it's not a board, it's paper, but this is kind of your board where you're going to keep track of things. The consequence track is going to be for your experience points. At the end of the game, you can spend those on these stickers that I already kind of showed off over here to level up your characters. The next few things are simply for immersion purposes only. They have absolutely no gameplay value. The first is Tel Gezer, which is the city that your narrative will eventually take you to, and that's it. That's about all that does. And the next is a kind of a zoom in map of Dune. Here's Arrakis, which is Dune, and here's the planet, but then there's also a zoom in to give you some sort of idea or feel of like what city you're in or what you're next to. It gives you a little bit of sense of where you are within the world. This map does absolutely nothing for the game. Here are the actual scenarios. So you'll look up at the top corner, the P stands for prologue, and then you have your 1, your 2, and your 3. You're going to read these and flip them over, and it'll tell you how to set them up. Again, I'm not going to go into detail or zoom in or hang out on these because that would be spoiling the game, but that's what these are. They tell you how to set up the first mission and what your goals are. After that, there's really not a whole lot left. Here's the markers that I talked about for the time track, so I'll just leave those there. You also have some tokens that you're going to be using when you come across certain narrative elements. It'll ask, if you have, let's say this warrior token in your pool, you can spend it to continue on reading some more stuff. If you don't have it, then your narrative stops there, and you're like, well, I guess we have to turn around and go the other way. The characters in the game are all people I'm not too familiar with myself, but there are 4 of them in the game. This game plays 1 to 4 people, and you can stick stickers on them when you level up at the end. and they all have their own little backstory and special abilities that they do. No matter how many players, just like Detective, no matter how many players you have, you are going to use all 4 characters. So you got to play with everyone in the game, even if you're playing solo, just like Detective. So nothing too strange there or too new there. The rest of the stuff I'm not going to really be pulling out. This is just a huge deck of cards, which operates like your narrative deck, or what some might call like a legacy deck. And so I'm going to leave those in there. These also are some cards that operate and give you some visuals like this. I don't know if I'm spoiling anything, but it'll give you a visual of something that you might see, a person that you might encounter, and it gives you a visual of who they are. We got some tokens in here. And that is it. That's everything that is in the game. Most of it is just fluff, a few tokens, and some sheets on how to set up your mission. And then, of course, you're going to need a tablet or computer and internet connection to go to a database where you will interact with certain video things and evidence type stuff, very akin to Detective. So once again, before I kind of pop out and give you my thoughts, there is nothing new in this game that Detective hasn't already done. So upon my initial impression of getting this game started and setting up, I wasn't too excited. You know, there wasn't anything new that made me go, wow, that's cool, that's different, I like that. Most of it just ends up being fluff. So anyways, that's everything that you get in Dune House Secrets. So there you have it, everything that's in Dune House Secrets. I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, there's not a whole lot in the box for being such a big, sprawling, adventure game. There's not a whole lot, and that's okay. That's akin to a lot of the Detective games where most of it's just using decks of cards and a little bit on the internet, as I already mentioned, with going onto the computer and using some things like that. That's totally fine. Without mixing words, this game is rubbish. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, to try to begin to say something about Dune House Secrets. First of all, the Detective series, how that framework works, is great for a detective feel. Knocking on doors, talking to witnesses, asking them about certain items or certain people, gaining information, getting alibis. The way that works in the detective games is great. It's brilliant. And essentially, Ignacy just took that over and said, hey, we've got the IP to do a Dune game. Let's just replicate everything that we've done in a goddamn detective game and put it in the Dune universe. When you think of Dune, when you think of science fiction in general, you think of action, adventure, even Star Trek, Star Wars, Foundation. All of those are very ambitious, very adventurous types of narratives. This is just the most boring thing in the world. Oh, don't get me wrong, it's all there. You're just knocking on doors of people that live in the Dune universe, and you're asking them about other characters that exist in the Dune universe. And you're putting together evidence and trying to find ideas and motives and things in the Dune universe. Ooh, cool. They give us a map of like a town that we're supposed to be in. That's great. What does it do? Nothing. It's just something to stare at. Oh, hey, there's a close-up map of Dune, and there's Arrakis. Doesn't do anything other than just give you a sense of where you're at in regards to other towns or villages or whatever the terminology is. It's just, it gives you all this fluff stuff to try to be immersive, to try to make you feel like something cool is going on. The rule book doesn't even really work. I'm not even sure how you're supposed to fill out The back part, it doesn't even really go into any detail about that. The website, we couldn't even figure out how to end our game or where to click. None of it really works. None of it's really intuitive for the theme. None of it works. It's just a absolute complete mess. It's just a mess. I was really disappointed about this game because Ignacy, who I followed on social media, was explicitly saying, this is adventure game. This is adventure game. This is not an adventure game. This is a walk around and like talk to people. Do you want to follow this person? Do you not want to follow them? Do you have the tokens? It's exactly what Detective is. Now, I'm not knocking Detective. I'm just saying that system, you plug that into a science fiction, action, adventure feeling, or theme, I guess you would say, and it fails on so many levels. It's incredibly unthematic. Like I said, knocking on doors, asking about, does not work in the Dune universe, nor would it work for any type of action adventure sort of theme. It just, the game fails on every level. When I first set it up, myself and the partner I was playing with, we couldn't even figure out the website. So like the website, you watch videos to open up, to set the stage. They're not even videos. They're just text that comes up on a video that you read, and then more text that comes up, and then that's it. Then the video closes. There's nothing. They could have just put that on a card and put it in kind of a legacy style. It's just a failure on every single level. The mechanics here are sound. They really are. In the detective world, but not in Dune. Dune House Secrets is a supermassive pass. What I like to do in my videos, as most of you know if you watch me on any type of regular basis, is I like to say what is the game and who's the game for. Well, what this game is it's essentially Detective in the Dune universe. It's not exciting. The website is not exciting. There's really not a whole lot that Ignacy did to kind of switch things up. The leveling up system of stickering your character is incredibly, I don't even know what the word I'm thinking of is, anticlimactic. I even noted that to the person I was playing with when we finished, and we were kind of looking at the sticker sheet and wondering what we should do for like leveling our characters up, and we both actually kind of commented almost at the same time saying, this is really boring. Like these stickers, these abilities are lame. Now granted, they're only the first level of 3 levels of stickers, but I even looked at the 3rd level and was just like, it's not exciting at all. The story wasn't that exciting. The prologue is short. That's the best thing that I can say about the game, is that the prologue is going to take you about 30 minutes to play, and thank God, because the rest of once you get into the actual game, it's going to take you 2 to 3 hours, and it just doesn't feel that fun. It's not fresh. Detective's already out there. Go buy that instead. If the Dune theme draws you, then buy Dune Imperium, or buy just the Dune battling game by Gale Force 9. Buy those games if you want something Dune. If you want something that's detective, buy Detective. There is no place in this world for a Detective Dune game. No place. So who is this game for? Probably nobody. I would not recommend picking up Dune House Secrets. Like I said, I'm going to repeat myself before we can close it down. If you like Dune, I highly, highly recommend looking at Dune Imperium. I did a video on it a long, long ways back. You can also search up other people's videos, how to play. I highly recommend Dune Imperium if you're looking for Dune. If you're looking for a whodunit, a knock on doors and interview people and question witnesses and stuff like that, I highly, highly recommend Detective. to put these two together, it's just like milk and toothpaste. It's just gross in your mouth. Just gross. So that's everything. That's where I'm going to leave us today. Once again, my name is Andrew Davidson. You've been watching As Per My Ability, and I will see each and every single one of you at the next video.